I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps me safe. I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps me safe. I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps it safe. Hello, I'm Willie from the Ozarks, and I'm so glad you've come to join me in studying A Course in Miracles Workbook for Students. Lesson 341 from the original edition, here on December the 7th of 2022's lesson. I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps me safe. Father, your Son is holy. I am he on whom you smile in love and tenderness so deep and dear, and still the universe smiles back on you and shares your holiness. How pure, how safe, how sacred then are we, abiding in your smile, with all your love bestowed on us, living one with you in brotherhood and fatherhood complete, in sinlessness, so perfect that the Lord of sinlessness conceives us as his Son, a universe of thought completing him. I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps me safe. Let us not then attack our sinlessness, for it contains the Word of God to us, and in its kind reflection, we are saved. And this is a new section. It's under what is a miracle, and we'll come back and read that and the lesson again. But let's go take a look at our Manual for Teachers reading for today, which is What is Death? Number 27. And let me put a bookmarker in here so I'll be able to turn back to it easy. What is death? Death is the central, this is out of the Manual for Teachers. Death is the central dream from which all illusions stem. Is it not madness to think of life as being born, aging, losing vitality, and dying in the end? He says that's madness to think of life as being born, aging, losing vitality, and dying in the end. I was trying to get my kids to recognize that, and they would ask me on my birthday, how old are you, Dad? And I said, no, I've told you all that. I never was born, and I won't ever die. Of course, that's speaking of the eternal, the real self. We've asked this question before, but now we need to consider it still more carefully. It is the one fixed, unchangeable belief of the world that all things in it are born only to die. This is regarded as the, in quotes, the way of nature. Not to be raised to question, but to be accepted as the, in quotes, natural law of life. The cyclical, the changing and unsure, the undependable and the unsteady, waxing and waning in a certain way upon a certain path, all this is taken as the will of God, and no one asks if a benign creator could will this. 2. In this perception of the universe as God created it, it would not be possible to think of him as loving. For who has decreed that all things pass away, ending in dust and disappointment and despair, could but be feared? He holds your little life in his hand but by a thread, ready to break it off without regret or care, perhaps today. Or if he waits, yet is the ending certain. Who loves such a God knows not of love, because he has denied that life is real. Death has become life's symbol. His world is now a battleground where contradiction reigns and opposites make endless war. Where there is death, is peace impossible. Where there is death, is peace impossible. Paragraph 3. Death is the symbol of the fear of God. His love is blotted out in his love is blotted out in the idea which holds it from awareness, like a shield held to obscure the sun. The grimness of the symbol is enough to show it cannot coexist with God. It holds an image of the Son of God in which he is laid to rest in devastation's arms, where worms wait to greet him and to last a little while by his destruction. Yet the worms as well are doomed to be destroyed as certainly, and so do all things live because of death. Devouring is nature's law of life. God is insane. Fear alone is real. Paragraph 4. The curious belief that there is part of dying things that may go on apart from what will die does not proclaim a loving God, nor reestablish any grounds for trust. If death is real for anything, there is no life. If death is real for anything, there is no life. Death denies life, but if there is reality in life, death is denied. No compromise in this is possible. There is either a God of fear or one of love. The world attempts 1,000 compromises and will attempt 1,000 more. Not one can be acceptable to God's teachers, because not one could be acceptable to God. He did not make death because he did not make fear. Both are equally meaningless to him. He did not make death because he did not make fear. 5. The, in quotes, reality of death is firmly rooted in the belief that God's Son is a body. And if God created bodies, death would indeed be real. But God would not be loving. There is no point at which the contrast between the perception of the real world and that of the world of illusions becomes more sharply evident. Death is indeed the death of God if he is love. And now his own creation must stand in fear of him. He is not Father, but destroyer. He is not Creator, but avenger. Terrible his thoughts and fearful his image. To look on his creation is to die. 6. And the last to be overcome will be death. There's a quote out of the Bible. And the last to be overcome will be death. Of course, without the idea of death, there is no world. All dreams will end with this one. This is salvation's final goal, the end of all illusions, that there is no death. And in death are all illusions born. What can be born of death and still have life? But what is born of God and still can die? The inconsistencies, the compromises, and the rituals the world fosters in its vain attempts to cling to death and yet to think love real are mindless magic, ineffectual and meaningless. God is, and in him all created things must be eternal. God is, and in him are all created things must be eternal. God is, and in him all created things must be eternal. Do you not see that otherwise he has an opposite, and fear would be as real as love? The last paragraph, 7. Teacher of God, your one assignment could be stated thus: accept no compromise in which death plays a part. Let's hold that to heart and take that idea, that thought, that with us. Teacher of God, your one assignment could be stated thus: accept no compromise in which death plays a part. Do not believe in cruelty nor attack. Do not believe in cruelty, nor let attack conceal the truth from you. What seems to die but has been misperceived and carried to illusion. Now it becomes your task to let the illusion be brought to the truth. Be steadfast but in this. Be not deceived by the reality, and that reality's in quotes, be not deceived by the reality of any changing form. Truth neither moves nor wavers nor sinks down to death and dissolution. And what is the end of death? Nothing but this, the realization that the Son of God is guiltless now and forever. Nothing but this. But do not let yourself forget it is not less than this. So that last few sentences again. And what is the end of death? Nothing but this, the realization that the Son of God is guiltless now and forever. So that last paragraph has a couple things that we want to really hold close to us. In the first part of the paragraph, he says, Teacher of God, your one assignment could be stated thus: accept no compromise which death plays a part. And then towards the end of the paragraph, he says, and what is the end of death? Nothing but this, the realization that the Son of God is guiltless now and forever. Okay, let us go take a look at our associated reading with today's idea. I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps me safe. And that associated reading is What is Miracles? But before we read it, let me tell you about another elderberry out of the ediblelandscaping.com, and it's John's elderberry. John's elderberry produces more fruits and earlier than other varieties. Very large clusters of medium-sized berries, especially good for jelly and elderberry elixir. Larger plant than Adams, pollinates with other native elderberries. Very large flower heads. Height 6 to 12 foot, space 8 to 10 foot circles, zone 3 through 9. Now, he says in here that it's especially good for jelly and elderberry elixir. Well, what is an elixir? Well, an elixir is mainly a cough syrup. You know, something that you can keep in your to use for cold and flu. Maybe you could consider that an elixir. That's more specific. Generally speaking, an elixir is some health-giving syrup or drink. Well, you can make elderberry syrup, which is really good, and you usually sweeten it with honey, and you can get the recipes. I found a really good place for a lot of this information on growforagecookferment.com. So you might go check that out. But some things that you can use to add to your elderberry, they recommend using, or a lot of people recommend using raw honey, and keep it raw. So add your elderberry either dried or fresh, but cook them down so it becomes a really thick syrupy consistency, whether you're making syrup or an elixir. And then after it cools, then add your honey. That way you keep it raw. You can be warm, but not over 120 degrees. And then you can add other things to your syrup or your elixirs. Cloves, a nice one for flavor. Cinnamon's good for flavor and health. And ginger. So you can add those to your elixirs or your syrups. I like to make syrup and can it. And then and if you really want to keep your honey raw, a lot of times I have honey that's not raw. And towards the end, when I've taken my bees and I've heated up the honey, occasionally I heat it up. I don't usually. But I'll sometimes have some honey that's not raw anyway, and I'll just use it in my syrup. But if you're trying to keep it raw, you could can your elderberry, because elderberry syrup won't last real long. The difference between an elderberry syrup and an elderberry elixir basically is that with the elixir, it'll last for months and months, a year or years, and because you've added either brandy or vodka to it. If you don't want to add those things and make it nice and sweet, which has the same health-giving benefits for the most part, well then just don't add that, and instead just add enough honey to give you your syrupy consistency. And make sure to give everybody a spoon of it for for their health. A lot of people recommend it anyway. Okay, I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps me safe. What is a miracle? A miracle is a correction. It does not create nor really change at all. It merely looks on devastation and reminds the mind that what it sees is false. It undoes error, but does not attempt to go beyond perception, nor exceed the function of forgiveness. Thus it stays within time's limits, yet it paves the way for the return of timelessness and love's awakening, for fear must slip away under the gentle remedy it brings. A miracle contains the gift of grace, for it is given and received as one, and thus it illustrates the law of truth the world does not obey because it fails entirely to understand its ways. A miracle inverts perception, which was upside down before, and thus it ends the strange distortions which were manifest. Now is perception open to the truth. Now is forgiveness seen as justified. Forgiveness is the home of miracles. The eyes of Christ deliver them to all they look upon, in mercy and in love. Perception stands corrected in His sight, and what was meant to curse has come to bless. Each lily of forgiveness offers all the world the silent miracle of love, and each is laid before the Word of God upon the universal altar to Creator and creation, in the light of perfect purity and endless joy. The miracle is taken first on faith, because to ask for it implies the mind has been made ready to conceive of what it cannot see and does not understand. Let me read that sentence again. The miracle is taken first on faith, because to ask for it implies the mind has been made ready to conceive of what it cannot see and does not understand. Yet faith will bring its witnesses to show that what it rested on is really there, and thus the miracle will justify your faith in it and show it rested on a world more real than what you saw before, a world redeemed from what you thought you saw. So you're going to say, well, that doesn't speak of love, so it must not be real. And then have faith to wait and get your miracle. And the last paragraph, 5, miracles fall like drops of healing rain from heaven on a dry and dusty world where starved and thirsty creatures came to die. Now they have water. Now the world is green. And everywhere the signs of life spring up to show that what is born can never die. But what has life has immortality. I love that. For what has life has immortality. Always remember that when you see what appears to be death. What has life has immortality. And everywhere the signs of life spring up to show that what is born can never die. And what has life has immortality. I want to read that last paragraph once again. It's only 3 sentences, maybe 4. Miracles fall like drops of healing rain from heaven on a dry and dusty world where starved and thirsty creatures came to die. Now they have water. Now the world is green. And everywhere the signs of life spring up to show that what is born can never die. For what has life has immortality. Okay, and once again on our lesson for today, I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps me safe. Father, your Son is holy. I am He on whom you smile in love and tenderness so deep and dear, and still the universe smiles back on you and shares your holiness. How pure, how safe, how sacred then are we, abiding in your smile, with all your love bestowed upon us, living one with you in brotherhood and fatherhood complete, in sinlessness so perfect that the Lord of sinlessness conceives us as His Son, a universe of thought completing Him. the Lord of sinlessness conceives us as His Son, a universe of thought completing Him. Let us not then attack our sinlessness, for it contains the Word of God to us, and in its kind reflection we are saved. Okay, I can attack but my own sinlessness. I can attack my own sinlessness. Let's see if I can get here adjusted. I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps me safe. I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps me safe. I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps me safe. I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps me safe. I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps me safe. I can attack but my own sinlessness, and it is only that which keeps me safe.